everybody out there in Cryptid Land. Join me, my buddy Dirty over there, and Mel Skahan tonight. We're going to have some really cool stories about, of course, Bigfoot, but some really interesting ghost stories, paranormal, and some sixth sense stuff. Join us tonight on
the Cryptid Quest Podcast.
Well, tonight we're going to do round 2 with my new friend, Mel Skahan. And he's got some new stuff to tell us. And I know everybody's going to be interested to hear about it. So let me introduce Mel.
Hello. How you doing today, Patrick?
I'm doing pretty good, Mel. So I know we kind of talked intermediately since the last time we did an interview, but I know you have some new ghost stuff to tell us from what I remember. Or
right, yeah. After our last show, we had discussed a bunch of other things. If I had any, so I talk about the same stuff other shows because that's what the most interesting and most I guess, how do I want to put this, that will keep people interested in. I mean, the really up close, long, personal encounters that I've had, rather than the little, oh yeah, I heard that, did you hear that type situation,
I want to hear the stuff nobody else hears, and I don't care if it's long term, short term. I don't care if it's in the wheelhouse. I want to hear because you have some amazing encounters. I mean, you've given me a little preview of it, but
yeah
we want to hear
yeah
about it.
we I when I did your show the last time, I got so many emails from folks and requests on Facebook, and have been talking to a few of them, and one of them in particular just contacted me like I think it was last week, and lives here in Washington State and over on the Olympic Peninsula.
Yeah.
And
Told him he needed to get in touch with you. I did.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I
and
knew
so
you guys were close.
Yeah, it's a ferry ride over for me, and it's about probably about 3 hours to get to over that way. And I told him, I gave him the sighting location of my encounter over there back in 2005, I think is what it was. And I was on a Bigfoot um, expedition with a group. And this group had just started the expeditions. And so we're kind of new at trying to bring new people into and teach them everything that we knew at that time. And of course, my life was a little bit different back then because I was vocalizing, I was wood knocking, I was doing all this because that's was the norm, to try to coerce these things to come into
Yeah,
us.
that's what they tell you to do.
Yeah, and so now I've learned better now, and but so we were on this expedition, and the second to the last night, uh, they decided that they were going to put us down along Highway 101. There was about 4 groups of us, and they spaced us out about a mile apart, and 4 or 5 people per vehicle, and we were just supposed to sit there and see if anything would come up to us. And we were there for almost an hour, and nothing did. And I was just like, this is kind of boring and getting kind of crowded with 4 of the guys sitting in the truck.
I understand. I was on something similar last weekend, but it's all good. I understand.
Yeah. And, like I said, almost an hour there. And then I was like, well, you know what? I'm going for a walk. I'm going to go walk to the next group and see how they're doing. And then this gentleman, his name was John, he decided that he was going to go with me. And I said, fine, that's, okay, let's go. So we started walking southbound on 101, and we were near Amanda Park. And so we're chatting away and everything, and he was like, "Well, don't you think we should be quiet?" And I'm like, "No, no, 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 we don't have to be quiet." He goes, "Well, what's going on?" I says, "Well, people break down along the roads all the time, and so that's what we're going to play. We're going to play broke down vehicle, two guys walking to get home, and just chat away normal, like we're not looking for anything." And so we're talking, and we're about a quarter mile away from when we left, and then I felt it. Well, I heard it first, and then I felt it. So we're walking south. I'm on John's left side, so he's on my right, and this sound was produced on the right side, and it's dark. I mean, not completely dark. You can probably see about 20 to 30% light. It wasn't cloudy. It was kind of cloudy, but not overcast to block out the stars, and the moon hadn't come up yet. But we could tell it was rising because the light was starting to get more prominent. And as we're walking, this sound of came over from the right side. And when that sound was produced, this is the second time that I felt it. The first time was on the reservation while I was at work. And I think I shared that story the last time that I was on.
Yeah.
And so I went like this because I felt the vibration go through me. And he goes, John goes, "What's wrong?" I said, "You didn't hear that?" He goes, "No, I didn't hear anything." I said, "Well, it came from you, right?" We were still walking, and I go, "It came off on your right side, right by and it was all shrubbery, just off the paved road." And he goes, "No, I didn't hear anything." He goes, "What was it?" I says, "I don't know, but the vibration went through me." And he goes, "What are we gonna do?" I said, "Just keep walking, and we'll see if it follows us." And so that sound again was, and it was quiet, 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 quiet. Just him and I walking when it was made. And he didn't hear it, he didn't feel it. So I felt like after I was going through this, that that was projected towards me. And so I told him, I says, "Let's just keep going." I said, "We've got something here. I don't know what it is, but it's over here on the right hand, and we'll see if it follows us to the guys down about 3/4 of a mile away yet." And so we're walking and talking, and I got on the radio and I said, "Hey guys, we got something. Um, we're going to keep walking, keep talking, and we're not going to do any interactions with it. We're just going to keep going, see if it follows us. And then we're going to walk right by you guys. So you guys get off the side of the road, and then um, we'll see if it continues to follow us or if somebody has an encounter as it is following, paralleling, or following us." And so I could see the vehicle of the next station, and the guys are off the side of the road, and we they get on the radio with me, and I have the radio right here so I can hear them, and they said, "Just keep going, and we'll see if anything is following you." So we walked past them, just talking away, and we went for another 5 minutes, and then they said, "No, there's nothing here." And so we turned around and walked back to the group, and then I let them know what had just happened. And I said, after a while, I says, I'm going to go back. I've got to know."
Yeah.
And
Brave move.
yeah, and so this was like right around 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning that this was happening. And then the moon started coming up. And then John tells me, he goes, I went up and I asked him, I go, um, "You didn't hear anything?" He says, "No, I didn't hear anything. I didn't feel anything." He goes, "But Mel," he goes, "I'm an airline pilot. I'm around jet engines all the time." And so that could be one of the. And he says,
Yeah,
I'm
my hearing's
definitely,
not good
yeah,
either.
yeah. And so I was like, well, I'm going back. I'm going to walk back up to where we parked. And I go, and I was talking aloud to everybody, and I was like, does anybody want to go? And of course, John volunteers, and I'm like, I don't need John. John didn't hear it the first time, so John's not going to hear it the second
Yeah.
time if it does happen, or but I just don't need him as a witness for sound if it's going to do something again. And so I was like, no, in my head, I was like, no, 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 please, no, John, not John, not John. And um, then I was like, all right, well, I'm going up. Then somebody, his name was Steve, said, I'll go with you guys. And I was like, thank you. And so we started walking. We started walking northbound, and I'm in the middle, and Steve is on the left side. I put him on the left side because that's where, as we were going back, that's where the sound originated from, was on the west side of the road. So I wanted him there because John didn't hear it, so I wanted him on the non-contact side. And so we're walking, we're talking, and I'm explaining to Steve on the way up what had happened. And as we're getting closer, I told him, I said, we're getting close. Just keep talking, keep acting normal. I go, two of us went through the first time. Now there's going to be three. And so we'll see what happens. And if it does vocalize, then we'll just keep walking and see if it follows us. And then radio to our group that we left to get off the side of the road and see if anything follows us that direction. And so we approached the site, the spot, and then I told him, I said, this is where it happened, right here off to our left. And we kept walking, kept talking, and then nothing. It was quiet. And I told him, I said, there's a road up here at the left side of that goes that direction. We'll go up to that road, and if nothing follows us to that point, then we'll try something different. And at the time, and I recently saw a picture of the area, and the trees are somewhere anywhere from 20 to 25 feet tall now,
Yeah.
because this happened in 2005, and the pictures that I just saw were 24. And so I said, we're going to go up. There's a clear cut up ahead, and then there's a road, and then we'll get off on that road, and then we'll face south, because the sound will be the original pinpoint of the sound came from this location. So we get off and walk down the road, and I told them, wait. I said, nothing's following us. I said, let me do a vocalization. And so they stayed back. I went ahead of them by about 15, 20 steps. And then I went, woo, woo, woo. And we're waiting and we're listening, and nothing happens. So I was like, well, okay, well, let's just go down the road and I'll do it again. So on this walk, we have two pieces of equipment with us, a Gen 2 and a Gen 3 night vision. Gen 2 monocular and a Gen 3 monocular. So one's a little bit better than, so they both had the binoculars, the night vision, and with the light, the moon that is already there, it just lit up the area. So to the point where like the sun shining off the foliage, the reflective of that light just blurred everything out. The same thing with the night vision. So once we got into the deciduous trees, because this was like a wet area, and there were no conifers nearby, they were all leafy trees. And so it made it kind of difficult to see off the side of that road that was not logged. And so I told them to stay here. I'm going to go up and I'm going to do it again. And so I did it. I did it the second time. I went, ooh, ooh, ooh. And then as soon as that sounds echoed through the south that I directed it, then we started hearing snapping. And then we heard more snapping, two bipedal or bipedal snapping, snap, 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 and then you could hear the branches being broken as it went through the trees. Snap, snap, and then it got faster. Snap, 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 and it was loud. And all three of us focused our attention to where it was up on this little knoll, and then kind of went to the left, to our left, and then zigzagged a little bit and then came off to the right. Just snap, 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 crash, crash. And it was loud and it was coming full bore at us. And the two guys are right here. This is
So
where
at
it
what
gets
point
funny.
did you clean your pants out?
Well, this is where it gets funny right here is that the two guys, I stepped back, I went back and I grabbed them and then I pulled them close together and I used them as a shield. And I admitted it now that I
I
had
love it.
two
I
humans
love it.
shielded in front of
You're
me.
awesome, Mel.
Protect myself first. There's
Yeah.
got to be a witness to this story. And so the two guys are looking, 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 and we could hear it moving. And then it stopped right there at the edge of the road in the foliage, and we could hear it going, ah, 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 and we could hear it move to the left a little bit by 2 or 3 steps, to the right, ah, 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 and this thing ran full bore at us, and so understandably that it was trying to catch its breath as it was right in front of us. And so they're scanning, and I got them right here in front of me, and I'm pointing, and I get in between them, and I said, "It's right there. It's right there." And all three of us knew where this sound was coming from, and they're looking and they're scanning, and we can't see anything, but we can hear it just breathing really loud. And then I heard off southbound a vehicle coming up Highway 101, and then close my eyes and I can hear that car coming closer. And then as it got closer, then you heard snap, 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 snap. And when that car was coming towards us, it was walking away from us. Snap, snap, snap,
So like it
snap.
was trying to get away from where the vehicle was coming?
Yeah, my guess now is that, it figured that we had somebody else in a vehicle coming towards us. And so to protect itself, because it would have been outnumbered because there's already three of us there,
Yeah.
it could have been 3 or 4 more of the guys showing up. But so when the vehicle got directly to our left side, then it was already to the back up and off the other side of the knoll as we heard it walking away.
Oof, 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 oof. Oof.
And I tell the story that I told the two guys later on that I used them as a shield because I definitely was. We were all scared. I mean,
Well,
as
yeah.
fast as this thing was coming.
Well, I don't really blame you. I ain't gonna lie. I don't blame you. I'd be like, if I had Dirty out in the woods with me and my wife, I'd be like, all right, you two stand right here and you stay right here. I'm gonna go this way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
And
unfortunately, I think, honestly, I think Sasquatch has a sense of mind that it probably would have went like this and around and got me.
mhm. Well,
But
there was the clear cut. There was the clear cut behind us, so they couldn't circle around us because
oh,
then it would have
okay,
been out in the
okay.
open.
Well, that
And
was man.
so it knew its territory. I'm going to say
So
this:
did
it
you
knew its.
place yourself in that spot just because of that, or is
No,
that just where it happened?
that's just where it happened.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
we were just going down this road because we knew it was to the south of us someplace, and they had just logged that area recently, and
Oh my
so
gosh. Okay, so quick question. Do you think maybe that the reason that they were out there is because that area had been logged and they were like checking up on it? Or do you think it was just their territory? I mean, I know you don't know, but you know,
well, there was water in the area, and so that's why that portion of the road on the south side was not logged, because that was the wetlands, and
okay.
so logging practices, there's a buffer done to protect waterways, and so that's why they when they logged it, they used that road as the boundary so that no entry would be over
I
there.
got you. I got you.
And so the guys went back out there the next morning, and when we heard it coming at us, we're naturally looking from 5 feet on up.
Yeah.
Well, when they went back out there, it followed that old stream bed in there, and it was at least 2 feet or even a foot uh, above ground, because there was a culvert and there was a dry stream bed right there. So when we were looking up,
They were
it was
down
down.
below.
It was down below us, but you
So
couldn't tell that at night.
so so I've heard a lot of tales about spider crawl. Do you think maybe they
Oh no,
utilize that?
it was standing. I mean, the guy said it was at least 7 feet deep
Oh
right there.
wow. Oh
Yeah.
wow. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's deep.
Hmm.
So basically,
So
all they had to do was hunch over a little bit and be like, "Let's get the hell out of Dodge."
yeah, yeah, it could have been looking right up at us as we
Yeah, yeah,
were
yeah.
standing there.
They're probably looking at you, looking
Hmm.
up.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
They said,
wow,
"Hey,
man,
don't see us. We're down
that's
here."
scary. I mean, that's scary, but it kind of tells you a little bit about them too, because they want you out of their territory, but they're not gonna. I mean, that was every opportunity to just take all of you out. Boom, if they
Hmm.
wanted to.
If they wanted to, yeah.
If they wanted to, but they don't want to.
Yeah, and that vocalization that I did, I heard on the reservation only once, and so it may have been curious on the vocalization, because most of the
The
people
one you
do a
just
whoop. Yeah, they just do a whoop or a long howl, whoop or a whoa. But this was a whoop, whoop, whoop. And so when you hear something like that,
I was gonna say, very
it's
unique.
different. Hmm.
Very unique, because
And that.
when you were doing that earlier, that actually resonated with me, because I'm like, I ain't never heard anybody imitate a howl or a vocalization in that way ever.
Mhm.
And then you did it, and I'm like, where's he going with this? But now you just told me.
So
So,
I think
and
that may have been the draw as well, but also them knowing their territory, knew exactly where we were standing when it took off to come meet us, and then staying down in approaching us from that stream bed. So they know their territory, and so you're never going to outsmart them.
so got a question. So you gave that vocalization, and once again, I know you don't know, but do you think that threw them off because they've heard it in the past from somewhere else, or maybe they've never heard it before and they're like, what the heck is that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like, if you go into a grocery store and somebody um, you hear the regular voices in English that you're used to, and then you hear somebody speaking Korean or something like that, then you automatically look over there and trying to figure out who it is. I mean, I think that's exactly what happened that night.
Point taken, point taken. Because my wife and I went to a Jap and off subject for a minute, but we went to a Japanese festival, and there's two ladies walking by and they're speaking Japanese, and I've never really heard Japanese before, and it was just like it caught my attention. I'm like, what, what? And I couldn't tell what they were saying, but it caught my attention, And I wanted to know, but so that's a very good point. Very good point. So, all right, we ready to switch gears, or you want to keep going on the Bigfoot subject, or you want to talk
Oh
about
no, no,
something
no, no.
else?
Yeah, yeah. I I started keeping my mind open about other aspects of this, and when I started hearing about psychics, mediums, um, and other types of events that people can see locations, feel them, hear them, just because they're sensitive in that way. And so I met up with this gal and this lady, and she um, is one of the most gentlest persons and the sweetest, kindest voices and everything that I mean that would you would expect somebody with this type of ability to understand people and be able to talk with them. And the goal for them is that when they would go out to the woods, they would hear these voices, but they couldn't understand the voices. There were two of them on this trip, and one would be flying over the Pacific Northwest or any tree location out of the way from any houses, supposedly, and then he would pick up on these thoughts and he would pick up on these words and didn't understand what was making this producing these sounds that he was picking up. And so he they decided to go out on a Bigfoot outing. And just this was just a regular camping trip, and there was about 12 of us invited to this. And my niece, who I have been working with since she has been very young, because when a young child starts telling you dad or uncle or anything that I see things that other people can't see. I hear them talk. They come to me. They talk to me, and people will shoo them away. Oh, but I understand because I went through this at some point in my life too, and they need a guidance to help them to go through this and to understand what's going on. So my niece, she was about 10, 11 at that time, and I said, there's going to be a couple of people there that I want you to meet that will help you understand that this is not a curse, that this gift that you have, they'll be able to help you work with it. And so when we got there, they already knew who she was. And so they said, okay, well, you go away. We want to talk with her. So both of them talked to her, and they were, you know, very understanding to her and shared their thoughts and their feelings and helped her understand everything. And then when she came back to me a couple hours later, she was fine. She was seeing things. She was telling me things to help understand her gift. And I'm glad that she started calling it a gift because beforehand she was calling it a curse.
Yeah, she wasn't embarrassed about it anymore.
Hmm. And and now they taught her how to turn it off and turn it on, and then being able to do a bunch of other things with it. And not every one of them has the same ability. Samantha's ability, my niece, her ability is that if she comes to my house or any house, somebody will make contact with her. She won't know who they are because they've passed on, and she'll describe them to us, and then it's like, oh, that was my brother, or that was my mom, or or her grandma. I said that was your grandpa, that was your cousin. These people are still around you, and they know that they can make contact with you, and you shouldn't be. She goes, I'm not afraid of them. She's just like they're around me all the time. I see them all over the place. And so after that, it's that helped her with her ability. So that night, we decided that we were all going to go for this night walk. And so everybody in the camp, with a few of them staying behind, went on this walk. And the two mediums were picking up, the two psychics were picking up on something, and then we would stop, and then we'd listen to them, and then it's like, oh, there's something over here to the right. We're not quite sure what it is yet, but there's something over here, and then somebody would walk off into the trees, and but Samantha stayed right by my side on the road, and then we'd walk another 40 steps, and it was like, okay, there it is again, and then somebody would take off into the trees again. And so we were like, after about a half hour, we got tired of that because they weren't hearing anything, they weren't seeing anything, and they weren't smelling anything. So we decided to go further down the road. So we went up about half a mile, three quarters of a mile ahead of them. And the road, they were above us, so the road kind of switched back. And we could hear them above us. And we had started walking north. And then she goes, Uncle, stop. Stop right here. I got to go up here. I got to go up here and talk to somebody. And I said, okay. And so there were three of us there, my youngest daughter, and then me, and then Samantha. So she went walking up ahead. And then when I see Samantha going through this, she's like me, talks with her hands, moves around, and then so I see her moving her hands and then pointing and doing all this other stuff. And then about 5 minutes later, she comes back and then she goes, "What was the biggest fire that was here?" I told her, I says, "Well, I used to work here, and the Yakult burn in the early 1900s was the biggest fire that had come through here, and there have been others after that." I go, "Why? What's up?" She goes, "Well, there's these two guys that are up here." And I said, "Yeah." I go, and then I stopped. I said, "What are they wearing?" She goes, "Well, they're wearing plaid cotton shirts and suspenders, and one's got a hard hat on, and then they got these boots that got these little spikes on the bottom of them, and their pants aren't all the way to the ground. They're a little cut up above the ankle." I said, "Okay." I said, "All right." She just described to me um, the era of clothing that they were wearing, and I go, "What's going on?" She goes, "Well, these two guys were sent up here to pull the heavy equipment out of here before this forest fire came in, and then when they got up here, they got turned around, and then the smoke came in, and they started panicking because they were now lost because the smoke started overtaking the area. And then as it got smokier and smokier, they just thought that by jumping into the the equipment, the she said it had a blade on it, so I'm guessing it was a road grader. That by jumping into these vehicles, they thought they would be protected, but that's where they died. And he he ran away. He goes, "I got to go get my partner, and we got to go jump in the machinery." And so, and then that's when she came back to me and then started telling me that story, that about these two guys that she ran into while we were out on this walk, out in
Oh
the
my
middle
gosh.
of some place that she's never been.
That's
And
no. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
and then so we decided to end our walk right there, and then went back up to meet with everybody else. They had turned around and then gone back to camp, and so we went up and we're all sitting around the inside the awning, and then told them, I says, "Well, we ran into two things down below," and then um, the female psychic medium goes, she closes her eyes, and then she goes like this, and she goes, "Oh yeah, I see them. I see them now." she goes, did she talk to him? And I was like, yeah, she did. She goes, okay, oh, well, she's getting really good at what she's doing. And so without, going into the longer version of this, but she basically had said everything that Samantha ran into down below with just the three of us.
Wow. Okay, so that story resonated with me big time because I don't claim to be anything special, but I hear things, I see things, I always have. Um, my youngest, no, yeah, my youngest daughter at one point when I lived in a house that I knew was haunted. And I'm sorry I'm bringing it on me for a minute,
Oh, no,
but
no, no,
it
no.
reminds me of this because she would wake up and she'd be like, Dad, I saw a lady in a white dress last night. And I was like, okay. And then I'd ask her to describe it, and it would sound like, you know, early 1900s garb.
Hmm.
Daddy, I saw a soldier last night. And I'd be like, where you seen them at? They're coming to my bed. They're talking to me. And when you were telling that story, it was like giving me chills because, it was at that point in time, my former ex-wife was like, because I started doing work at a place which was the old Washington Brewery in Washington, Missouri, which was Augusta A. Bush's brother tried to start, Budweiser. Well, his younger brother tried to start another brewery in the town I lived in, and it didn't go anywhere.
Mm.
And I would go in there to work, and things would happen to me. And I took her there a couple times, and I actually saw a ghost in there. And my wife was like, well, ex-wife was like, she's not going with you there anymore. She's scared. And I'm like, why is she scared? She's like, she says she sees people every time she goes there that aren't there. And so I get it. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. The youngest and the purest of minds are the ones that are always sensitive to that. And that's why they always
they
appear
can see it
that.
better.
Yep. They
Yeah,
can
their
see it
mind's
better.
more open
Hmm.
because I couldn't see what she was seeing. I could only see what I could see, but what I could see was this. What she could see was this,
Hmm.
you know? And I felt, after a while, I started feeling bad for her, but I don't know whether it's a gift or a curse. I guess it's a gift because,
It's a gift, yeah. I mean, if you call it a curse, then they're going to be afraid of it, and that's what we had to teach Samantha was that it wasn't a curse. I mean, you could seek out people to assist with this, and then they could work with her and to be able to um, turn down her light so that they can't find her, basically, to shut it down for a while and then turn it back on when she wants to, when she thinks that she can handle it.
yeah, yeah, well, maybe I need to talk to her about that. But, I don't know how much is going on anymore. She's like 17 now, so
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
she don't talk about it much anymore.
yeah, if she's had it, as a child, and she still has it, she just
Yeah,
has just decided to block it off.
yeah. Well, I kind of get that because things happen around me too, and sometimes I shut them down. Sometimes I turn them on. I think when I turn them on, I'm not thinking about turning them on. It just happens. Something
Hmm.
in my head, situation in my life, you know. So I'm not. I need to learn some more from you. Learn how to do that manually. Turn it
Yeah,
on, turn it off.
yeah. I can get you in touch with people to help be able to work with you. I mean, if you're really serious about,
Yeah.
if it's got to run into in your family or your wife's family, her mom's family,
I think it
and
runs in my family because my
hmm
wife never ever talked about it, and a lot of people in my family do.
hmm
It's another crazy story. My mom once told me that she's from Madrid, Spain, and she said our family was cursed by a witch. at one point. I don't know how true that is.
Hmm.
She said, "Your family will never succeed in anything in life," and she put a curse on our family.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I would definitely seek that out. I at one point would, uh, my wife made contact with a Reiki and being able to work with me over video, and she found some things in me that um, and she knew the big people were always around me. I mean, we're just talking away, catching it, just shooting the breeze and everything, and then she goes, well, what's that? What's this big, huge guy behind you? It's always with you. And so then we got onto the Bigfoot subject.
So, I think it's Patrick Gaddy. I think he might have contacted you, and he talks about being able to see the big people, the forest people, with him around him, without
Hmm.
being in the woods, like if he's in his house.
Yeah.
So, do you ever see that, or do other people just see them around you?
The other people that are more sensitive than I am
Okay,
are the ones that point it out.
okay.
And but yeah, I the elders in my tribe, we when we attend a ceremony, a gathering, we always shake hands with everybody as we're walking in. That's the, the proper thing to do. So when I enter a building of a gathering, then I go around and I shake everybody's hand. And we have the men on the right hand on the north side and the women on the south side. So as I'm going around, I start shaking hands, and then when I got to this elder lady, she was in her 70s, and so she was real in tune. And so I went and touched her. I don't shake their hands. We just touch, and as we go, and then all of a sudden, she just went like this, and then she went, and then she gave me one of those.
Oh, that's
So
hilarious. I mean, not for her, but yeah.
yeah, yeah, she was like,
So,
"Oh,
can I
there's
ask
something wrong with you."
yeah, can I ask a quick question? What's the significance of men to the north, women to the south?
It's just the way that
Just the way they always done it?
yeah, that's the way
Okay.
it's done in our
All
tribe
right.
and all
I didn't know if
gatherings.
there was because I've never heard of that before, and that's pretty cool. You
Hmm.
know, I didn't know if there was a significance to it or that was just how they did things.
Yeah, and so
So,
then our religious leaders or our people doing the ceremony are always on the west side.
oh, okay. That's cool, man. I've never heard that before. Never heard that before. That's so cool. But then again, I'm half Spanish and half Irish, so I don't know a lot about the. I have so much respect for the Native American culture, but apparently I need to learn more because I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
I've been working with somebody at work that has been really interested in things, and so I've been sharing a lot because he travels around the world, and he says that every every part of the any country that he's in is always unique with their tradition and with their uh, the way they handle things.
Well, I need to talk to you more about that because honestly, I don't know if I shared a story with you about the points I found, but I have a feeling like, you know, they talk to me sometimes, and
Hmm.
I don't even understand why, because I mean honestly, I'm half Irish, half Spanish. I'm not really from here, you know. I mean, if you really look at it, I was born here, but I'm not from here.
Hmm.
You know, this is the
Yeah.
Native Americans' country in my eyes, my heart. So I don't know why, you know, they would give me like, hey, look over here. Hey, look over there. You think it has anything to do with that, or do you think it's more like a just connection with everything up there?
I think it's just that as you mentioned earlier, that you have a history of being your folks, your previous generations are in tune with the world and have this ability, and you have it, but you've also kind of like pushed it aside a little, and then you kind of, you're like, okay, well, let's open it up a little bit more. And when you open it up a little bit more, then your light is getting brighter, and then the not all spirits stay in one place all the time. They move around. And as your daughter, as it said, she sees different people. And these people are the ones that are wandering around. This is one of the reasons why we are told to stay inside all the time, and then put the curtains up so that nothing. And then the rose water. I mean, people use salt. I use sage to help set the boundary to those people when they do come around. And then when it gets out of whack, then I have to reset those boundaries to correct everything that is going. Excuse me, everything that is going on.
Is it kind of crazy that I saw Sage at the grocery store the other day and I thought about you?
Nope, nope. You had
I
said
saw
that,
it on
and
the
like,
shelf and I'm like, Sage, Mel. I'm like, maybe I need to
but
get some.
yeah, and yeah, I gather it from different areas that I go into. On the reservation, that we have two different varieties. We have a higher elevation stuff that is, to us, more, well, to me, is more powerful than the stuff down lower, because it's a longer growing season, more cultural, everything around it, and to me, it has a, it it. I want to say this. It's a bit stronger,
Yeah, I got you.
and so it helps repel a lot longer than the other stuff that I collect.
And just know, I wasn't making fun of you at all.
Oh,
I,
no, no,
I
no,
saw
no,
it
I
and then I'm
understand.
like, I almost bought some. Then I'm like, I don't know where the hell this shades came from.
Right, right, yeah,
So I
yeah,
left
yeah,
it on the
yeah, yeah,
shelf.
yeah. It could
I'm
have
like, I
spirits
need
in
to
it
go find it
already.
out in the woods. So, um, man, oh man, gosh, I love talking to you so much, man. We have such great conversations.
Yeah.
So
And so, we're on this subject of sage, and me setting boundaries here.
let's get it.
Uh, uh, I, I my wife's history here. I'm the second husband in the house, and there's been history here of other visitors, and the children, her twin daughters, have seen them here, and she has seen them around here. And again, my niece Samantha helped us kind of locate
Like
who they were.
spirits, or
Spirits, yeah,
okay,
yeah, ghosts, spirits. I
yeah.
mean, and mists, balls of light. I mean, whatever. It's all being
Oh yeah,
seen
yeah.
here.
No, I got you.
And so it when it overwhelms me, when I know we have a lot in here that have come through and haven't passed through yet, but hung around, then I feel it, and I get tingling my head and my digits and everything, and I was like, all right, you guys are out of control, and because they're around. I've seen big dark. We have a two-level house, and so um, the bedroom is on the mid level of the second, in between the second and first. And so I'd be watching TV, and then I'll look upstairs, and then I'll see a huge black mass go from right to left into the bedroom. And I was like, all right, that's it. Tomorrow, I put myself in the right mind and everything. Tomorrow I'm going to take care of this. And I've learned not to do it alone. I have to do it with her here, because sometimes they get a little edgy and uppity and attack. And so when I see those, then I said, that's time. I've got to reset everything. We got something new in the house. So I brought my niece in on this, and I put her on the phone, and we went through the house, and she told me, oh, there's there's Peter. She identified Peter 8 years ago, and then she identified the two women about a year after she saw Peter, and then new ones that were around. And we had a I had a nephew who passed at a young age a couple years ago, 3 years ago now, and he stayed here for a while. And so we're going through the house, and we're going through my daughter's room up here upstairs, and she goes, "Oh, look, it's Aaron," and that's my nephew. He goes, "He's on Charlie's bed." And then I was like, so I said, "Well, say hi to him." She goes, "Oh, hi, Aaron." Only she could see him though. And so then we went and identified up to 14 different spirits in this house.
Holy Jesus.
And the one that I knew was new was my wife's father, who passed seven years ago, and he was cremated, and his current wife had his ashes, and then she passed, and then her children contacted Christine, my wife, and asked if she wanted her dad back. So she made arrangements to go over and pick him up, and then bring him back the to the house. And so I walk in the house, and she goes, "Our visitor's here." I said, "Yeah, I know. He's behind us." She goes, "How do you know that?" Because I can feel him behind me. And I said, "Hey, Merle." And so Merle's sitting on the piano behind me, and or around the piano, and then I go sit down and we start talking and everything. And then so now back to Samantha. So we know Merle is in her house. Her dad is here. Um, Samantha, we go to the bathroom, and she goes, "Well, there's a lady. There's a lady in the bathroom, and she wears this. It looks like a shower cap, and she likes the bathroom." I said, "Okay." I said, "All right. Well, I don't want no lady in the bathroom, so I'll set the boundary for her." I already know about Merle. I already know because every point of the house I was treating different because I knew those spirits, those ghosts that were there. But the shower cap lady, well, no, 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 no. You're not
Something
welcome
new.
in there. Yeah. And so I went around to the house, and then wife was in the kitchen up here up in the upper level. And as I'm going around the house, I'm talking to every one of them that was identified and said hello to Aaron, you're fine, everything, da 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 da. You just know you're on the other side now, and we have certain rules around you that you had while you were here, which are different now,
Yeah.
And so I did that to every room, and then the last one that I did was the bathroom. Well, I went down and talked to Merle, and said, "You're fine here, Merle." I said, "You're the dad, and as long as you keep you know yourself to this without harming anybody or wanting to make contact." And I like I said, I changed it up for every room. So I finished up with the bathroom. I said, "All right, shower cap lady, you're out of here. I don't want you in here when we're taking a shower or when I'm doing my business or anything like that." I said, "This is a real private area. And so you are not welcomed in here anymore." And I didn't think I was doing anything bad at the time. So I finished up, uh, saged myself, and then put everything away, and then started the water for the shower. And then I got into the shower, and all of a sudden I got scratched. And I mean, I got scratched hard. I shut the water off, and then I am upstairs, um, just no towel, just walked up here naked to my wife. And I turned around and I said, "Tell me I ain't got," because it hit me in the lower left side. And I said, "Tell me I don't have three scratches right here on my lower left side." And then she goes, "Turn around." So she turned around. She goes, "Oh yeah, yeah, yep. There are three of them, and they're deep. They're long." I said, "Yeah." She goes, "What happened?" I said, I think the shower cap lady attacked me because I was very
Oh,
aggressive with
wow.
her. And so I took pictures of the scratch. I gave the phone to Christine, and she took a picture. And I sent it to Samantha, and it took her a while to get back to me. But she goes, and I said, I think the shower cap lady just scratched me. And she goes, oh no, no, it wasn't the shower cap lady that got you. It's the big guy downstairs. I said, what? She goes, yeah, the big man downstairs, the one that just is on by the piano. I said, Merle. So I went up. I told Christine. I said, your dad attacked me in the shower. And then we're trying to figure out why would Merle attack me in the shower when I wasn't aggressive towards him or set a nice boundary for us. And so Christine goes, well, she looks on her phone. She goes, she sent me a picture and she goes, send this to Samantha and see if this is the lady that's in the bathroom. And so I sent it to her, and it took a while for Samantha to get back to us. But she goes, "Oh yeah, that's the lady in the bathroom, and that was Merle's second, the wife that just passed."
No doubt.
and
Wow.
and so we were like, "What did you do?" I said, "I didn't want her in the bathroom." So I was a, you know, and then she goes, then what had happened was that because I was aggressive to Merle's wife, he was the one that was protecting her and then came after me and then scratched me. And then once we found out what was going on, then Christine went downstairs and started talking to her dad downstairs,
Oh,
saying,
wow.
"That's my husband, and you shouldn't be treating him like that."
Oh, wow.
Uh, and she asked me if I was okay, if I was comfortable with him being around. I said, "Yeah." I go, "It's my mistake. Uh, I brought this onto myself, not knowing the full story of everything what was
Yeah.
going on. And now that we know who's here, we didn't know who the shower cap lady was, but now we know." And then she goes, "Well." About a week later, she goes, I'm gonna send Merle over to my brother's house. Are you okay with?" I said, "Are you okay with that? I mean, you know, we now know what's going on here." I go, "But I just, if you're all right with it, that's fine." And
So how did she go about that? Did she just like ask him? And
oh
it
no, yeah, I heard her downstairs yelling at him.
okay, a little more than asking. Like
Yeah,
no, you ain't gonna f with my husband. Get
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, not get out, but you're
But
not gonna
please
do
go
this to
somewhere
me
else
anymore.
and don't mess with him. I got you. That's
Yeah,
cool, man. I mean, cool but scary as hell, man. I
yeah.
holy cow. I I don't know how I would respond to being attacked by a spirit. I really don't. I really don't.
Yeah, and that wasn't my first time. I mean, I've been slapped, I've been scratched, and about, I think this was like the fifth time now. And and then the recent one that I got scratched was we've got this Bigfoot conference coming up in Yakima, and I went over a
I
couple weeks
know. We
ago.
got to talk about
I,
that later.
I went over a couple weeks ago to get everything under finalized, make sure everything was ready to go. And when I was staying at the hotel, my wife was there for the weekend, but she had to come back, and I had to stay for a funeral. And so I was in the room by myself the last night, Sunday night, and I didn't feel it at that time. Excuse me. But when I woke up and I was stretching, and I was like, ah, man, something the size of a raccoon paw. It's just a small paw and two
Yeah.
scratches right here on my right side on my neck. Excuse me. And so I came home, and then wife goes, "Okay, all right. Who did you have in the room after?"
No. That's not allowed.
Says she. So she looks at him. She goes, "Oh wow." She goes, those aren't human. I was like, no, these are really close together. And so I contacted my friend, and then she told me uh, about a series of events that were possibly going wrong with the funeral that I attended, and that when I do things like this again, to better protect myself when I'm in attendance.
So you think something followed you?
Yeah, if something followed me, yeah.
Oh, that's one of my biggest fears.
Hmm.
I mean, anytime you do stuff like this or you get into the spiritual world, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I'm getting into. I really don't. I know
Hmm.
there's people out there that are way more knowledgeable about this stuff, and they know. Well, obviously, you know some of them, and you know, you just can't dabble in that crap unless you know. But I don't. It didn't even sound like you're dabbling. They're just following
No,
your butt.
no. Like I said, like I said, it's the light that you emit that they can see.
Yeah,
And I mean, my light could be like this at one point, and then sometimes it could be just like this. And so,
I got you.
that's
I got you. Oh, okay. So I got another. I know it's a me story, but if you want to hear it, I'll
no,
tell you.
yeah, yeah.
It's about my youngest daughter, the one I said was seeing things. So when she was about 3 years old, she was up in her playroom upstairs at the house, and we've had issues at that house. I don't live there anymore. It ain't this place, thank goodness. But one day, my ex was downstairs. Tristan was about 3 years old. She was upstairs playing in her room, and she just started screaming. And my wife is cooking dinner. I'm in the kitchen helping her, and she's like, "Will you go see what's wrong with her?" So I run upstairs, and I'm like, "What's wrong, baby?" And she said, "It bit me." I said, "What bit you?" She said, "A shadow." I said, "What do you mean a shadow?" Well, at first I was like, "Was it a bug? Was it a spider?" I'm like, "What bit you?" She said, "A shadow." And she said, "A shadow." And she pointed. I said, "Where did it come from?" And she pointed to a corner of the room, which I have another little snippet after this that kind of confirms it. And this happened years before, but she pointed to the corner of the room, and I said, "Where'd it bite you?" And she started going like this, and I raised her shirt up. She had a bite mark. Looked like a human, maybe not a human, but it looked like a bite mark on the back, on her back.
Hmm.
And years earlier, before she was even born, before my first daughter was even born, she was my youngest daughter, but I have two girls. Before my first daughter was even born, I was living in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was renting the house out to one of my sisters. And she said one night she woke up and saw glowing red eyes in the in the exact same spot to where she said that shadow came from. And everything that revolved around the house as far as like scary crap or paranormal always happened in that room. And
In
I
that
don't
room by that
understand it.
corner. Yeah, yeah, it could be a portal there that is at that
So
location.
yeah, I don't know. That's all I got. So
Hmm.
not cutting you off, but I want to hear.
Oh, no, no, no. I
Uh,
mean, when people get together and you interview them on there and you have similarities, that's the whole reason we do programs like
yeah. A
this.
lot of the stuff you say really resonates with me. And one of the reasons I love talking to you because I just feel like I'm talking to nobody that I've not shook hands with yet. You know,
Hmm. Yeah.
but we will one day. We will one day, Mel. We will.
Hmm.
So, you got any more good stuff for us, or you want to
Oh,
wrap
yeah.
it up? I'm going to leave it
Uh,
up to you.
oh, no. I've got a very entertaining ghost paranormal team story that
I want to hear it.
this was early on and my niece was about this. You know, we had gone through the whole. Um, this is a gift, not a curse. So she's
Yeah, you.
growing. She's understanding.
Yeah.
And I told her, I go, I got this. I got a phone call that this group wants to do a Bigfoot outing, and then they want to do a paranormal outing in the same location. And I go, are you interested? And she goes, oh, yeah, yeah, I want to do it. So we weren't part of the team. We were just invited. You know, I was going to do the Bigfoot, and then we were just going to follow them along to the location of the paranormal house that they were going to. And so we had we had left him, and then he took us out to the location, and I told him, I says, I don't like going into areas that I don't know. I need to see it in the daylight hours. So we had arrived early. He showed us where he wanted to do both outings, and they were right close by. And I said, yeah, I've got stories of them being seen here. I mean, there's a possibility that we might run into something here. And so he had left, and then my niece and I we continued on our walk down towards the house that he pointed at. Uh, so we're standing up on the hillside, and then she goes, the lady that is in his house knows we're coming back. I go, what lady? She goes, the lady that lived in that house. And I said, yeah. What can you tell me about her? Well, she's wearing this light blue dress uh, for the era of the late 1890s, early 1900s. And she said that was, she had a husband, and then they had a child together. And this place was so remote at that time that it was horse to get in. There was no roads. And so she said that her husband had left and was gone for a very long time, to the point where he never came back. And so it was just her and the little baby living on this in this little house. And eventually the baby got sick, and then the baby died. And then after that, she went into a depression, and she hung herself in this room. And she we're still she's pointing at the house. She said she hung herself in this room. And I said, okay. I said, well, let's walk a little bit closer so we can get an idea what the house looks like. Right now, this old, it was like basically a two-room with a kitchen and a living room, and there was an old outhouse. So it was just a two and a half room. One for half the half room was for storage, and the cows. There were no doors, no windows, or anything. The cows, had been moving around in and out of it, and the old plaster slats and everything that were part of the walls. And so she goes, "Yep, this is where she hung herself right here." And she knows we're coming back, and she doesn't like it. And I said, okay. I said, all right, well, everything that we've talked about here, we don't tell anybody else. And you just let her know that we'll do everything that we can to make sure everybody's protected. And she goes, oh, well, she understands, but she's, and I'm talking to an 11-year-old now, and trying to make her understand,
Yeah.
And so she goes, okay, all right, well, I told her, and I said, okay, well, let's go rest up, and then we'll join up with the rest of the group tonight. So we go through the Bigfoot outing, and nothing happened. It was pretty quiet. A couple of boos and whoops, and da, 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 da. So, but we were waiting for the paranormal night
Yeah,
at
yeah,
the
yeah,
house,
yeah, yeah.
because of all the information that she had already told me. That was, She
Yeah.
was expecting him.
You're on point.
Yeah, and so they gathered up and got something to eat and um, told the story of why they were there, and then they all went into the house. And I told Samantha, I says, we're not going into the house. We're staying away. And we were about 50, 60 yards away where the cars were parked. And then everybody went into the house. A gal come walking over to us going, what are you guys, why aren't you guys going over there? She says, well, it's not our thing. We're just going to stand right here and watch everything from here. She goes, yeah. She goes, I don't feel right about this house. There's somebody here. And so I said, do you want to know who's here? And so as they're walking, we caught her up to speed of why when we were there earlier the day. And she goes, wow, well, that's interesting. I go, yeah, well, we'll just stand here and we'll watch this and see how this goes. And so you see the flashes, the cameras, you hear people talking. Like I said, this place wasn't very big, and camera flashes all the time. It looked like lightning going on into this house. And then Samantha goes, It's gonna happen." I go, "What's gonna happen?" She goes, "There's a girl that's going to be in that room over there by herself after everybody walks out, and she's the one that she's gonna make contact with." And so the gal that's with us goes, "What's going on?" "Just watch." She says something is going to happen to this woman that's in the house, uh, in that room. And then so see the flash, and then you hear a blood curdling scream. "Ah!" And Samantha starts going like this, and it made me chuckle and laugh too. And she goes, "I told you, Uncle, she doesn't want them here. And she's going to do everything to get them out of the house." So I'm getting play by play of everything that is going to happen to these people
Before it
from
happens.
her before it happens. And she goes, "There's going to be a guy that's going to be walking out of that house, and he's going to," and how she sees this, I don't know.
Yeah.
And so she goes, "This guy is going to be walking out of the house, and he's going to go into this pasture, this grassy area, and then he's going to walk that fence line that direction, and he's gonna he's gonna he's next." So all three of us are grouped up, and we're watching him. And we're waiting for it. Samantha already knows it's coming, but we're just waiting to find out what's going to happen. And so you see his headlight come out of the house, and then he starts walking down the fence line like she said. And then she goes, 3, 2, 1, now. And then, "Wah! It's Bigfoot! It's Bigfoot! It's Bigfoot!" And everybody comes, piling out of the house, running down towards him as he's running back. He goes, what's going on?" He goes, "There's Bigfoot. He's over there. He's," and then we're dying, and we're actually dying on the ground laughing so
Yeah.
hard that this is going on. And so they wrapped it up after that and called it a success.
Yeah. That's great. That's hilarious. But on her account, man, some people got that ability to be able to see
Hmm.
what's going to happen. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter if it's a spirit or not a spirit. I mean, some
yeah,
people have that ability. I
yeah,
believe. I believe.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, I believed ever since I was a little one. So, and like I said, I turned that ability off, and I was told I can turn it back on. But are you ready to see that?
exactly.
Are you prepared to have that around you all the time? I mean, it takes a certain mindset to be able to handle all that.
Yeah, I can barely handle what I got in everyday life. let alone that.
Yeah, yeah. I come home to relax, not
Yeah,
to.
yeah. I don't want to hear about everything that's gonna happen to everybody else in the future. Let's shut her down.
Yeah, yeah. She, she saved my life plenty of times too, with
That's so
telling
cool.
telling me to stay home because of events that were happening away that we were supposed to go in attendance for.
Oh
And
wow, really?
yeah, yeah, we were salmon fishing on the Columbia River, right around Hood River,
Yeah.
and she had gone down there because they were also fishing in a different area, and so they arrived. I was at work. They arrived that morning, and then she calls me up while I'm at work, and she says, "Uncle, um, don't come down here. Stay away." She goes, "I just saw this huge demon-like caped figure, and he's huge, and he's flying up and down this river, and he's looking for somebody. He's looking to take somebody." And she goes, "I don't think it's a good idea that you come down here." And so I called my partner up and I told him what was going on. He says, "Okay, if that's what she says, we're not going. We're just staying home." And so later that weekend, she calls me up and says that there had been a fisherman that had drowned, his boat overturned, and she goes, "The demon got who he wanted."
Well, I'm
Um,
glad it wasn't you.
Glad it wasn't me. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm glad it wasn't you too. Dude, no, that's and I believe in that, man. I believe they. So, all right, quick question on that. Do you think? And I believe that it was there. It meant to take somebody. Do you think it knew who it was going to take, or do you think is that you say that's your niece?
yeah,
Okay, or do you think she just saw it and knew it was going to take somebody,
but she didn't
but she
know
didn't
who.
know who?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
all
Because
right.
she said that she saw it many times going up and down the river.
And maybe, and honestly, maybe it didn't know who it was going to take, but
Hmm.
it was just waiting for a moment. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, it's a possibility. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So, I
yeah.
mean, yeah, I don't know. That's a whole nother conversation.
I know it is, and
So,
like I said, with her ability, she has been able to. We had a cousin of mine, a second cousin of mine, who I grew up with as a little kid, 8, 9 years old, and so he was in his 30s when he disappeared, and they found his vehicle in the Yakima River just outside of Toppenish. And when Samantha got the family wanted her to come out to see what she could see, and so she come to my house, and then I drove her out there with her mom, and we started talking to the family. We saw the divers in the water, and we saw a bunch of police vehicles, and then we saw the tow truck. I mean, this place was, really active. And Samantha, she says, "Well, we need to go this way." I said,
she
"Okay,
already knew.
yep." And I go, "Okay." I go. I asked her mom. I said, "You want to go?" She goes, "No, I'm going to stay here and talk to them, talk to the family." I said, "Okay, well, Samantha and I were going to go downriver here and see what's going on." And so we're away from everything upriver, and then in this flat area next to the river. And then she goes, "Uncle," she goes, "I need you to stay right." And she's more comfortable with her ability now, with me
Yeah,
telling me,
yeah,
stay right here.
yeah.
So I stay there, but I'm watching her and very adamant when she's talking. Da, 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 and she's there for a long time. I mean, it must have been about 10, 15 minutes that she's talking. And then she comes back. And then she starts telling me about the event that happened. And what I mean by event, she started telling me the two cars that pulled in to this location, one being his car and another car that he was in, but he was he was in the trunk of his car, my cousin, and the other vehicle that followed him had a couple of other people with them, and she didn't know who they were. She goes, they they made it look like he drove into the river, and then when he drowned, that he floated down the river. That's the way it looked, and his door, all his driver's, his passenger side door was the one that was open, and but she goes, he's not in the river. They took him out of the trunk and they put him in the other car, and then they all, they threw things about to make it look like, an accident had happened here, and then they drove away. And then she goes, he's not here. He's not in the water. He's on a hillside, grassy hillside, and that's 90% of the lower Yakima Valley is grassy hillsides.
Yeah.
And if she doesn't know the location because she hasn't been around these areas, then she's
Could
not
be
gonna
anywhere.
recognize it. hmm And so she goes, but that's what happened. They killed him, and then they took him and they threw him out in this spot. And so she goes, hold on, I got to go back over there. I said, okay. And I'm trying to process this, you know.
Yeah. It's a lot to
And
process.
yeah, and so she goes back over to the location that she was talking to this person, and then she comes back, and I said, I go, how do you know all this? And she goes, all the spirits around here, and this one right here too that I've been talking to,
They
seeing
saw it.
everything, seeing everything that happened here. And she goes, well, I gotta go. I go, no, what do you mean you gotta go? She goes, well, she wants me to follow her, but you gotta stay here. And I said, no, 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 no.
No, no, no,
I
no.
go, no, no, no,
No, no,
no,
no, no, no.
you're not. Don't fall for this. And I go, who are you talking to? And she goes, it's me. I'm talking to myself. I go, I just did what you did. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
What?
What do you mean you're talking to yourself? She goes, yeah, that I'm talking to the girl that looks just. I saw she took your form and she's trying to draw you away.
So you think it was a
I go,
demon?
yes. And I said, no. I said, you're done. I said, we're leaving. I said, we're going to go back over there and be by your mom. And then we're going to take care of you once we get in the vehicle. We saged her, rosed her, and everything else to protect her from this spirit or demon that was out there to attaching to her and following her. And I said, never, ever trust spirits, ever.
No. Dude. Keep a close eye on that girl, and you give her a high five from me, and you tell her Patrick from Cryptid Quest is one of her biggest fans.
Yeah.
She just trumped you.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I would not be able to see a lot of this stuff if it wasn't me being her guide to her remaining open. I mean, we've got comical stories. I mean, she's had spirits in her mom's house when she was young that would irritate her, just bother her.
Yeah.
And then she came over to visit me one time, and I go, "What are you doing here?" I go, "Where's your mom?" Oh, she's out in the car, not staying very long. I said, "Well, what's going on?" Oh, no, I just wanted to stop by and say hi. I said, okay, all right, well, hi. And then she walked out. And I, and so I called her later and I go, Samantha, I go, who's here? And she goes, it's this lady that's been bothering me at my house, my mom's house. So I took her over to your house and I dropped her off.
Oh welcome room guest or house guest.
Right. And she goes, just I'll come back and I'll take care of her. And I said, okay, all right, but yeah, there's somebody here and I can hear them.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's
So
so funny.
if people are gonna ask, do they follow you? Yes, they do. Yes, yes.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe they can. I just after that last, I mean, not the last story, but the story right before, I worry about your little niece.
Oh, yeah, she's
Keep an
fine.
eye on her, dude. Keep an eye
Oh
on
yeah,
her.
yeah. She has uh,
Because
one
she's
thing
still
that
at that
is.
transitional age, apparently, to where she can't. I mean, granted, everything's flowing in, but she can't tell what's good and what's bad. I mean,
Oh no, 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 no. Now she can.
oh, okay,
And
good, good,
yeah,
good,
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. I mean, these were the early days, early
Okay,
years that we
okay.
started working, and
Man, I was starting to get a little worried.
yeah.
I
But
was.
no, it's her children now that are seeing them.
Oh my gosh. Well, tell her to keep
Yeah.
an eye on them and you
Oh
too.
yeah, yeah.
Come
She's
on,
watching them.
man. That we need honestly. I mean, we need people that can communicate like this and see these things because it actually a lot of times in life comes in really handy. You
Oh yeah,
know,
yeah.
I mean, and I know a lot of people poo poo on it and say, well, it's just no, it ain't BS. It ain't
No,
BS. 100% ain't BS.
no, no. It is not.
So, dude, I
Uh,
love your
yeah.
freaking stories. And I don't mean stories, encounters, experiences, because a story to me is something that's not true. And I know everything you tell me is fact. And that's one of the things I love talking to you, because I know everything you tell me, I can believe. And you're number one in my book, Mel.
Well, I can turn around and still show you the scratches that.
Can
Let me
you? Oh my
see.
gosh. All
Oh no,
right.
no, they're healed up now. No, they're not there anymore. Like I
Oh,
said, it's been about 2.5 weeks now. Yeah, yeah. If I could
dang
turn,
it. I
I
should have
mean,
made the interview
this
earlier.
was the
Oh, I see
location of
him.
what.
I see a
Do
little
you?
bit of him. I did. If you
Yep.
lean forward a little bit. No, the other way. Yep, I see him. Oh my God, I see him. Oh my God, I see him. I see him. Shit.
Yeah.
Now
So
you
those
make
are
me not want to go to bed tonight. I'm scared. Holy
uh,
cow, Mel. You're amazing, dude.
um,
All right.
well,
Well, I probably need to let you get back to whatever you were doing. But before
okay.
we go, unless you got something else you want to tell us before we go, it's
Um,
your call. If you got something waiting on your chest, we got time. Ain't nobody after you. So,
um, I got a fishing story with 3 kids.
all right,
Well,
let's hear
this
it.
will be the last one. I've never shared this with anybody.
Okay.
But I told you that I'm a fisherman
Yeah, yeah.
along the Columbia
And when I
River.
come see you, you're going to take me fishing because I'm no
Uh,
good at catching fish.
well, okay, we'll go catching fish and not fishing
All
fish.
right.
That's the difference. But we were doing we were fishing Drano Lake, which is along the Columbia River, and this is a site where a lot of the hatchery salmon are released, and then they return to you know their life's finish their life's work.
Yeah.
And so when the hatchery reaches its limit, then these fish mill around in this little lake, and it's open to people, um, sports fishermen for different days, and then for us for different days as well. And so I had my partner who was checking. We use a 75-foot gill net in this lake, and we it's a process that you only get 16 hours to do. So you're there, you're working it, you're trying to put food on your table
You're
for
trying to get as many as you
family.
can.
Yeah, and so we're up the whole time. We're moving back and forth, And so we were, it's about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I had I had three different kids with me, and we were teaching them how to fish this lake. So, we pass on the knowledge. And so my partner stayed behind, and so we went up, and I navigated without light because I knew where everything was because I'd been in and out of this spot. And so we're getting up to the net, and then we hear this sound. Remember, we got the motor going as well as we're
Yeah.
inching forward and going up into the current. And as this sound was produced, not quite understanding what it was because of the jet end or the boat motor, um, then I hear a two by four, a solid piece of wood, because you can tell a tree, a limb, a small tree thudding on the ground compared to a processed piece of wood which has a hollow sound to it.
Yeah.
So I heard this two by four or processed piece of wood hit right where we were going to grab the net off the shoreline and then bring it over the boat. And so it was like, wow, that's weird because there was no light. And so I we stop, and I go, hey, can you guys hear that? And what we heard, remember the jet engines, I mean, well, not the earlier story on the Olympic Peninsula where the freight train was coming.
Yeah.
We heard something scurrying up these rocks. And I mean, almost like that.
Vertical.
And we could hear it, and then rocks being kicked down, and then it stopped, and then it turned around and it heard it again. And they were like, "What is that?" I go, "What do you think it is?" I go, "You guys, you know what that sound was?" And so we heard this thing just turn around and then breathing heavily right at us, looking down at us. And I said, "Don't turn the light on. Don't, no light." And so we heard it, and then after a while, then it just started walking the rest of the way up this slope, and then it was gone. And then they turned the headlamps on, and then we were looking around. I go, "You see that two by four right there, right by the boat? That's the one that it threw at us."
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
And they go, "Well, what was it doing?" I said, "Well, I mean, I've heard stories on the Washington State coast of the tribal folks over there that they'll go into the rivers and then start plucking fish out of the nets and then throwing them on shore to the other ones to for their food." And I go, we kind of interrupted him. We had like three of them on near the shoreline
Yeah.
that were in the net. And I said they was after those ones right there. And then we interrupted him, and so he got mad and threw the two by four towards us.
Well, at least you didn't chuck it at your head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, that was great, Mel. Was that the end of it?
yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh,
That
that
was
was
it.
so cool. Hey, looky there, a Mel Skahan exclusive here on Cryptid Quest. So, and I know you're getting ready to do the Yakima Nation, uh, uh, the Bigfoot conference up in Washington State. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the Yakima Bigfoot Con, and it's put on by the Yakima Chamber of Commerce out of the city of Yakima, and so they have it on the reservation at the casino, which has a hotel with it as well. And they had joined up with the casino to be able to use the facility, and I mean
Cool place
they
to have it, though.
well, yeah, they bring in the big acts. I mean, it's a huge stage, and two big screen 100 inch or bigger. I don't know. They're on each side, and
Yeah.
a big sound system, ability to seat like 500 to 700, somewhere right in there.
Oh wow.
And so it's if you've ever been to a small concert venue, that's basically our stage, which
Basically what you got. All
is
right. Very
huge.
cool.
Yeah, huge for a conference. And the first year that we had it, I was just overwhelmed. And they set up
So what
this
year is
Bigfoot.
this?
This is 24, 23, 22, 20, 20, 23, 23, 22. 2022 was the first one.
Okay,
Because
so
yeah, it was supposed to be earlier than that, but because of COVID,
I got you.
it got pushed back a couple of years
I got you.
because of the social gathering and everything.
That's
And
so cool.
yeah,
So
so
anybody out there, if you can get to it, I'd go to it. If I could make it, I'd be there in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
yeah,
So
yeah.
do you
So
have
this is
anything else? What's that? Go ahead.
yeah, this is the 2024 one, and we have a VIP scheduled for Friday night where we have our local legend Bob Gimlin is going to be there. Bob Gimlin doesn't do
So
conferences
jealous.
anymore, and he quit doing our conference last year. Last year was his last one because of age, and it just takes a lot out of him now.
Yeah.
And so we have him for the meet and greet for a couple hours, and so we're going to have his birthday then, and
Oh,
then we're also
so
going to
awesome.
celebrate the anniversary of the Patterson Gimlin film. And then we'll have our speakers this year are Matt Moneymaker, Jeff Meldrum, Elaine Miles, Tish Paquette, Barb Shoup, and myself. And that will
You
be held up
you're
on
you're the
October
you're
26th.
the one I'd want to hear.
Well, it's funny when we put conferences together. When I get asked, they always, well, what time slot do you want? I was like, well, give me like the mid-afternoon, when more people are going to be there. And
Yeah.
so I always ask uh, the presenters what they want, and then
Yeah.
everybody takes up the time slots. And I was
Yeah.
like, so for all 3 years, I've opened up the conference at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Very.
And so,
Oh no, that ain't cool. That's the worst
well,
slot. It happens. So, is there anything going on besides that you want to promote before we get off of
uh,
here?
we are also going to Packwood, Washington. Um, Myself and another business owner have been talking to a company out of Packwood that we're going to have a town hall one day and
Oh, that'd be awesome.
a conference the second day, and we nailed it down to the third weekend of June of next year.
Ooh, I might
And
try to make that.
so we're working on the poster right now, and I didn't want to go big people. I wanted a local folks, and so there were so many presenter or so many enthusiasts,
Man, yeah,
people there that
you're
wanted
in
to
you're
be
in the
part of
heart of
this.
that area though.
Yeah.
So, I mean, still out here in Missouri, we're like everybody's still scared to talk about it a lot, you know,
Oh, yeah.
except for me.
Understand. Understand.
I'm like
Send. Yeah.
I'm like
Yeah. Us
I
wackos.
want
Yeah.
to know about it.
But yeah,
So,
Packwood alone has had 5 sightings just outside its city limits this last year, and so it's perfect to bring something like this to them.
man, oh man. Well, me and the wifey poo have been talking about coming out that way next summer, and that sounds like a real good time to do it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
are you going to be posting that on your page? Are you
yeah,
going
yeah.
to? Okay.
I'll be posting that on my
Uh,
Facebook page. Yes.
yeah, because I got a bad memory. There's no way I'm going to remember June 3rd next week.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I know. That's why I set my calendars and my phone to
yeah,
to remind me.
exactly.
Ting.
100%. I'm with you, brother. Thanks, Mel. Oh, that was so
Thank you,
much
Dirty.
fun.
Thank you, Patrick.
I love talking to you. It's so much fun every time we talk. I saw your
Well,
cat jumping around in the background. I almost had to comment a few times.
oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
She'll jump
I
on the
love
back of my
cats.
chair.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
cats. was like, Kitty, but I didn't want to say nothing.
Yeah. She's, I would say about 90% of the podcasts that I have from home, she's
It's
here.
all good, man. I have to lock mine out of the room or else she'd be right here in front of the computer desk. Because when I come home, she's just like, Dad, I'm in your face. Pay attention. No.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Well, thank you so much once again, Mel.
All right.
Another
Thank you,
great
Patrick.
one. Thank you,
Yep.
buddy.
Thank you. Like I said, it's just you're having fun because of the host and his knowledge and his, the interaction that
Dude,
you put out.
I love the experiences you were telling tonight, man. When you were telling about your niece and stuff, resonated with me. I mean, I ain't always got to talk about, our forest brother, the big guy. I know there's a lot of other stuff that goes on out there that and I like bringing that out,
Yeah.
So thank you so much for telling those. Thank
Yeah,
you so
yeah.
much, man. I think, which not to sound stupid, but I think I was more interested in that part than the Bigfoot stuff tonight.
Right. Yeah. It's because you've heard
We hear it
a
all the
lot of
time.
time.
But
Yeah.
I mean, it still interests me. But man, I like taking it outside the box here and there. So thank you for doing that with me.
Yeah. I'm glad we talked about it beforehand to be able to have this in line.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, man.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Take it easy, brother.
You as well.
All right. Bye. Well, Mel, I'm going to tell you, I have so much fun talking to you every time. Hopefully you'll come on again. I feel like I'm talking to an old friend, even though we haven't shooken hands before yet. But every time we talk, I feel like I'm talking to an old buddy, and I love it. And you make me get scared, laugh, and not sure which way I'm going to go. The whole time.
Right. Yeah, that third act was a doozy.
Yeah, and I love it. So, hey, everybody out there in the cryptid world, thanks for joining me, Mel Skahan, and my buddy Dirty over there. And remember,
Keep it creepy.
Yeah, out in the woods where the shadows creep, I'm trying to find the legend that the people keep. Bigfoot's the name, got a story to tell. Footprints in the mud, can't you hear the bell? Whispers in the night, can you feel that chill? Bigfoot on the run, he's a legend, keep it real. Bigfoot, yeah, he's the talk of the town. Creeping through the trees, never wearing a frown. Legend of the forest, he's got a big stride. As the trap beats thump, you know he's got pride. Like I'm on a quest, searching for the homie, you know he's the best. Got my camera ready, heightened senses on blast. Snap a shot of Sasquatch, legend unsurpassed. Eyes in the dark, you can't catch what you can't see. King of the woods, living wild and free. Bigfoot, yeah, he's the talk of the town. Creeping through the trees, never wearing a frown. Legend of the forest, he's got a big stride. As the trap beats thump, you know he's got pride.